Hi, this is the video about the way to do the midterm project for Matt with Finale instead of doing the handwritten version. So you're going to download the Finale file. That is a template. It will look like this. It's already got the key signature preloaded in it, the time signature, and it's got the repeats because you're going to write an A section, you're going to go over to a B section. At the end of your B section, you're going to repeat. Then the second time, at the end of the second B section, you're going to provide a final resolution chord here. So that's preset for you. Then you follow the instructions that are on the video about how to do each section. This video is just augmenting the online video that already exists about the various component parts of the project. If you're choosing to do it in Finale, you have to be willing to make sure that you are comfortable with Finale as a program. If it's very, very new to you, you may be better off doing the handwritten version and then sequencing your project in GarageBand. But here it is for those of you that think that you're going to be able to handle the Finale version of it. I'm going to demo it in a different key so that I don't give you that is too close to what you would write. So I'm going to switch over now to the demo template, which is actually in a different key. Instead of being in F sharp minor and A major, it's going to be in B minor and D major. So what you're going to do is pick, you need two contrasting grooves. So what I would recommend first is that you decide on a drum groove. So say this is what you decided to have as your drum groove. Say you liked that sound. The way you program drums in Finale is you would put in your eighth notes first. I recommend that you do hi-hats first. Start with all closed. You click an eighth note in that top space and you just go along. Once you've got it in there, you can use the arrow key to go along. Get it up there where you want it, where it says hi-hat closed, and just hit return and you'll get all your eighth notes in there. Then you decide about your snare. Most people will just go, you're looking for a pop rock sound, so probably 2 and 4 backbeat is the best thing to go with. You can definitely do some other options. This is a cross stick if you get an X sound, and here, if you get if you don't want the cross stick and you put it in there, you can just move arrow up and down and it'll come back to, down and up and it'll come back to a full open snare sound. You just move off the line and back on with the arrows. So now, so far what we have is something without a kick drum. Now for the kick drum you have to go to something called Layer 2. And the way you find that is you go down to the bottom of the page, and there it is. You can see it says Layer 1. You click on that little arrow and you go to Layer 2. And this is where you put in your kick drum. And so say you decide on the pattern that's over here, this pattern, dot, 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 or you could have something simpler or different from that. But if that's your rhythm, you put in the notes that describes that. Whenever you want to put in a rest, you just put in the normal value of the note and then hit the number R, the letter R, to create a rest. Eighth note, I need an eighth note rest, I put an eighth note, hit R. I need another eighth note rest, hit note, hit R, and eighth note rest. So now I've got my notes. Switch back to Layer 1. Back in Layer 1, which is where you put all the notes that, all the drum parts that are played by the hands in Layer 1, and only the kick drum is in Layer 2. So make sure you switch back. And now you've got your groove, and then all you have to do is simply copy it by doing Command C and then Command V to paste it. And since it's an 8 measure thing, you can just, and because in real drum writing you can use repeat signs, you only have to rewrite the drums every time there's a new line. So you could actually do something where you put a repeat sign. The way you do that is you click on the measures when you want to do repeat signs. You go to this thing called the staff tool right over here, and then you look on here and you choose what's called a staff style. Apply a staff style. You can also do a shortcut by just doing Control click and say apply staff style. And here's the types, and you want a 1 measure repeat. Click on that. There you go. You've got your 1 measure repeats, and they will still play back. But this is the way you would handwrite it. It would save you time. Okay, now you've got your drum groove for part 1. Now you come over here and you do your drum groove for part 2. Something contrasting, a different pattern, maybe still constant eighth notes, but a different pattern in the kick drums. So something like this. And notice that the last eighth note hi-hat is open. Well, the way you show that, you can either change that. The way you do it is you select it. And if it says open, you want it closed, you just move down and then back up, and it'll be closed. But if you want it open, go up. There it is open. Then you would do that, and then over here on the articulation tool, you would click on it, and you would do an O for open. For the chordal part, you're going to follow the guidelines here. The first chord has to be the 1 chord, the tonic chord. So since my demo is in the key of B minor, it's a B minor chord. And then the second chord, you have a choice, either flat 3 major or flat 6 major. So you choose one of those. In this demo, I've chosen flat 3 major. And you fill those in triadic form voice led. Once you carry on and do that with all the measures of the piece. And then when you've got all your chords in, now you can write your bass line. And as you can see with this bass line, I've chosen to do a bass line that is rhythmically lined up with what the kick drum is doing here. I've got roots and fifths approach, root, fifth. I could have gone to an octave, but I came back down to the root, low root, and then I do an approach note, which is moving by step into the target. Root, fifth, root, approach note by step, root, fifth, root, new chord, approach note by step, so on. That's my groove for this section. So I've got chords, I've got groove, I've got drum groove, and then the last but not least comes the melody. The melody, you go down here and you have guidelines for that in the form of a melodic rhythm chart, and it's telling you to start on a tonic stable note and then go from there and follow this rhythm exactly. So stable tones are always going to be notes that are in the chord of the moment. So the chord of the moment is the 1 chord, so we're choosing, in this case, the third of that chord, D, the note D, the flat 3 of that chord. And so that's obviously a stable tone in the key as well. And that's what we start on, and then you have, you can choose some other notes here and get to a strong target tone there, a tone that is in the chord of the moment there, which is there. You can see it's the note A, the 5th of that chord. So you have to follow the rhythm. You can choose the notes, but you want to make sure the notes that are of longer durations or in strong places in the rhythm, strong downbeats and so on, are going to be notes that fit with the chord of the moment very closely, chord tones. So once you've got all that together, you will have something that will hang together musically. The groove is integrated, the bass is integrated with the chords, the melody is integrated with the chords, and here's this particular example. And that's it in a nutshell. Now over here, don't forget you will have a different groove, so you might use a different bass groove here, something that's more riff-based. A riff bass would be something that might be like, this is a riff. It's an example of a riff bass line. So it's a different groove, different approach. Okay, have fun with that.